We all know your draft's not going to go well if you're not prepared. Today we're going over the best strategy for fantasy football this year. The Bruce got the juice and we're going to let it loose. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're covering draft strategies. We got player rankings, dropped wide receivers the other day. On top of that, we're going to help you set your lineups week in and week out while covering the advanced analytics while helping you pick up players off the waiver wire every single day. Click that button. Stop missing out. But this strategy starts off like all draft strategies with the first 3 rounds. And what I want to do with this draft strategy is start off hard at running back and wide receiver. I want to make sure I get 1 stud running back, 1 stud wide receiver, because as I'm building this team, it's going to allow me to be more diverse throughout the draft. And I'm going to be anchored down at both positions. In theory, in the first 3 rounds, you should have at least 1 running back, 1 wide receiver. Brock Bowers is below because he's Brock Bowers. But if you go 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, if you go double hero RB, or if you're doubling up on wide receiver and do more of a hero RB build, you could definitely do that around these parameters. But you want to make sure you're definitely stacked and locked and loaded and really go on BPA if you want. It's a mix of all draft strategies, but you also want to start off tough at wide receiver and running back. Wide receiver is something we're going to look at pretty hard, and then running back we're going to pivot off and on throughout the draft. Rounds 4 and 5 will be very interesting. Here I'm looking to slam wide receiver. I'm willing to forego the running backs here, and some of these guys are going to come up to round 3 anyways, depending on your draft. If you're drafting in a home league, then some of those running backs are going up to round 3 because home league drafters draft running backs a little bit more heavy. That being said, that's something to pay attention to. This is a good area in the draft where you can pick up some good wide receivers and get good depth at the wide receiver spot because there's more running backs. Running back is deeper than ever before, and we can strategize around this. I'm willing to miss out on a few backs while looking at these wide receivers and getting good solid depth, wide receiver 2s, 3s, 4s, however deep I want to go. This extends out to the next round, to round 6 if you want to. Also, best player available. If a running back falls, cool. But wide receivers in home league drafts where it goes running back heavy, you might catch more talent than this at the wide receiver spot in this range of the draft. There's no running back dead zone this year, but we're still going to call it the dead zone so you know the area of the draft. Here, you're going to veer off. Are you going to go rookie? Because we're in this rookie running back alley right now. RJ Harvey, Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson. Or are you going to be looking at veterans at running back or wide receiver? Because that's going to be dependent on build. If you're rock solid with your anchor running back, you may go with one of those rookies because you can take on that hit from the rookie ramp up, as it may take 2, 3, 5 weeks or more for that rookie running back to start hitting at all cylinders, if they do at all. Wow, you might be feeling like you need a veteran running back, and you may go David Montgomery, Swift, James Conner, going with more stability. You know what you're going to get week in and week out as maybe your RB2, RB3 on your depth chart. However, you can also pivot to the wide receivers, but you should be stacked at wide receiver by the time you get to this point. But it's also the thinning out process at wide receiver, because once you get out of this range, round 6 and round 7, it's going to thin out immensely. Not to mention you got running backs like Tony Pollard, Isaiah Pacheco to lean on if you're not feeling the rookies. So this is where we're dipping our toes back into the running back well. This will also indicate our build later, as if we go away from the rookies here, we're more likely to hit rookie flyers and year 2 flyers at the running back position in the double-digit rounds, where we might be less tied to doing that if we go rookie here, so we can round out with some more stability. The running backs are nice here. Pick your poison. Do you want to go young? Do you want to go veterans? But that's going to dictate your build as you get deeper into your draft. If you go rookies, you might be getting some veterans on the back end instead of the upside flyers. If you go with a veteran like James Conner, you may be going with some upside plays in the double-digit rounds. Really depends on how you want to build this team. At this part of the draft, we are writing it out. We're going best player available. This is where I'm more likely to look at quarterback and tight end, as I do not want to pay up for those positions. And that's what I do personally. And it could be even later at those positions. But this is now when I'm going to start thinking about those positions unless I drafted Brock Bowers. There's still some running backs on the board. I will be looking at those at value. Wide receiver is dying. It is thinning out. I like Luther Burden as an upside play. He's going to trend up in ADP. I'm not ignoring players here, but I'm also talking strategy. I'm knowing that wide receiver is thinning out here. I'm going to be good at wide receiver. I'm going to be deep. I'm going to be solid. I will take shots at 1 or 2 more lottery tickets, depending on what falls to me and how I feel about the other positions. I'm starting at quarterback. I'm starting at tight end, thinking about those spots. Running back, I'm rounding it out here. I'm making sure I'm good to go. Because as we get deeper into the draft, the running back position is still jacked. A lot of good lottery tickets, some RB2s on their team that can still be productive for you in fantasy that you can moneyball. And you're going to be jacked at wide receiver, and you're going to have top-end talent at running back, depending on the choices you made here and which fork of the road you went in the dead zone. But you got options from vets who can get you some touches to rookies and year 2 running backs that have a ton of upside, like a Trey Benson or a Jaden Blue. Like, for real, we saved up to get to this point of the draft to get a couple lottery tickets. You can mix and match other positions here as things fall off the board, but we want to be saved up for this spot of the draft by slamming wide receiver early so we can take on 2, 3, maybe even more lottery ticket running backs as we look at our Garandos, our Trey Bensons, our Ray Davises, our Basil Tutons, whatever your flavor, whatever it is, and those veteran running backs that can give you some stability on the back end, like an Austin Eckler, Rashad White, Jerome Ford, who'll probably be getting touches now due to Quinshon Judkins. There's a lot of options here, and you got to account for that with how you're drafting your team. And the running backs are there when you get deeper. There are some other deep plays to look at, but there are running backs left and right in this draft. A lot of upside lottery tickets from Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Jarquez Hunter, Marshawn Lloyd, Rashard Smith, and you're probably picking up 1 or 2 of those guys as you're finishing up your draft. Here's how 15 rounds could look like drafting like this up the middle. It's going to be very mixed and matched, and you're going to have strategies in this strategy, but you're prepared for the end of the draft. You're also prepared to be anchored down with good prospects at wide receiver and running back, so you're going to be solid up and down throughout the draft board. This is what I mean. You're going to have upside flyers like an RJ Harvey in round 6 in the top of the dead zone, paired with a stud running back. You got stud wide receivers, CD, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf. While your bench is looking very good at running back, your flex is solid. You're going to be solid up and down throughout your lineup and your bench. Drafting on the back turn, you can still implement this strategy. Going running back, wide receiver, however you want to do it. It's a turn, so you're just picking both. But still slamming wide receiver, then getting your dead zone running back, slamming upside flyers, young running backs, veteran running backs at the tail end of your draft. Your team could look something like this, where you got upside on the bench, some vets on the bench, James Conner, Derrick Henry. You're looking very stable there to start things off on the year. You're getting kind of deep at wide receiver. Terry McLaurin News got you a little iffy right there, but this was made before that. But you're looking at all this together. You're still rather stout here. On the turn, especially that back turn, things get a little interesting. So you might be a little bit more creative, as in changing over the strategy a little bit from wide receiver to running back in some of these spots, as according to what falls to you. Best player available is also good in this strategy, but you're built to know what's coming up in the future in the back 9 of the draft. Drafting lottery ticket plays. Drafting from the start of the draft, you can get some very interesting builds here. Bijan, Tyreek, slamming some good wide receivers. Maybe getting like an Isaiah Pacheco in the start of the dead zone, and then getting your upside flyers, some good veterans there to round things out on your depth chart. It sucks waiting for those picks to come back at you when you're starting your draft, when you're drafting from the start. However, there are some interesting players there on that 2-3 turn coming back at you where you can make some interesting builds, and it's really great for a lot of draft strategies to implement in. I really like that. You can really build some deep lineups with that. I like building from there, like the 4-spot range, 5-spot range, because that 2-3 turn on that comeback, you're starting to get some good players, especially around that 1-2 area. But still, as you're looking through this, you're tough. up and down your lineup and on your bench with flyers. You're going to be strong everywhere. You're going to be anchored down at wide receiver and running back. You're still going best player available if you like that, because it's very fluid. There's a lot of dynamics here where you can just pivot and still be on point. You just have to remember that I want to stock up on wide receivers so I can take advantage of those lottery tickets on the back end of the roster. One thing we're not doing is drafting vets or commodities that could be just roster cloggers. Guys scoring like 10 points a game in the double-digit rounds where it feels like they're helping us out, but they're really not. They're just roster cloggers and not really helping us. If they average that 10 spot every week when we're using them, they're not really that much better than someone who's very volatile, who can go off for 20, but yet more than likely like 6 to 8. Because that's only like a few points better, but you want to shoot for more of that upside. And those lottery ticket rookies, if they hit, they're going to hit hard, and they could turn around your team, could allow you to be unbeatable in your league due to them giving you top 5, top 10 results week in and week out if they hit towards their upside. I like this strategy. Allows you to be fluid throughout the draft. Allows you to use other strategies inside the strategy. But honestly, you're technically just saving up for the back end of your draft to get a couple lottery tickets, knowing that lottery tickets are going to be there at the running back position while having a lot of good depth at wide receiver. So you're not spending back end picks at wide receiver, and you're going to be strong there while also being strong at running back because you're going to be anchored down with a good RB2, but yet lottery tickets right there that if one of those guys go off, that's going to allow you to transform your league, but you also got good running backs there in the double-digit rounds that can also get touches. Now you're playing with the quarterbacks and tight ends, wherever you like to draft those positions. Some people want to pay up. Some people go late round quarterback. That's mixed in however you want to make it. I suggest one quarterback, one tight end for every league, unless the format says different. But again, this is a strategy I like. From looking at ADP, from implementing it, I always like the builds when I'm staying fluid like this, but with structure. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.